Hello and welcome to JC Racing. Back again Saturday of racing here. With me, I'm Carlos Porcel, and I'm with Adrian Fernandez. How are you doing, my friend?
Hi, Carlos. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this another night or another day of racing, so to say. And we have, again, one of the most exciting racetracks in the world, which I think is going to make for some interesting racing for the next 3 hours.
I'm sure it will be like that, and we already had a preview the last practice session yesterday, and we already know there's going to be some action in Radillon. The turn that goes over Urush, that very fast and complicated turn, of course, you know it. And we already had a little bit of an accident yesterday, so let's see how it goes for the drivers today. More than 45 drivers and a lot of action promised.
A lot of drivers, especially in one of those racetracks where you really want to drive and you really want to race. We have Spa-Francorchamps, which is a 7-kilometer racetrack, 4.3 miles in length total, and one of those venues where everything is possible in terms of passing, of opportunities to showcase also the driver skills. And I think that there will be opportunities for a lot of the drivers to actually surprise and be competitive.
Exactly, and quite a competitive pack that we know we have already, and already the points becoming a real fight inside the top 5, the top 10. A lot of competition inside the score card of the drivers. I think we are going to get to see today the fiercest pack we've had so far, because we know that there are some drivers that will want to get up to that top 4 in the last round.
Sorry, I think you can hear me now. Yeah, sorry, I had a problem with the microphone. But
no problem.
Still, we are back from one of the another racetrack which was very, very competitive in terms of drivers actually trying to get a good race in, which was Silverstone. We saw also some mixing at the front of the field, quite a change of the guard, so to say. I'm really excited for what comes ahead of us as we start to see practice in just a few minutes, and we're going to see some dynamics being rolled over with what is going to be especially a very complicated start. I think the drivers will have to behave a lot in order to respect the other drivers' environment, the other drivers' space for the race cars, and actually avoid those pileups, which are not very common in Spa-Francorchamps, but there are also some of those recurrences where you cannot discard them.
It's going to be a wild ride. That's guaranteed. I can tell you that much. And it's going to be nice to see how the drivers get along in that, as you mentioned, the first turn, La Source, one of the most spectacular turns to start a race with. And of course, Urush and Radillon will be a big question afterwards in the first seconds of each round. We are going to have 3 rounds of racing today, 2 15 minutes round that will be the first ones, and the last one that will be a 30-minute grand session in which the drivers will have to manage the fuel, since we limit the quantity they can fill the car with. So they're going to have to be gentle on the throttle or really manage well the occasion to enter the pit lane for the sip and go. So let's see what happens with all of the drivers. This competition is brought to you by Heart to Heart International this week. So we want to thank them. And I also want to remind all of our viewers that you can visit allgratefulhearts.org to get all the information we have ongoing about the raffles and the GHA jackpot. I will be giving a lot more information as we go on this night here in Spain, and already about afternoon or past afternoon in Las Vegas. So let's see how the drivers do in Spa right now, where we can find them. Already drivers going round, and Carlos Martin Diaz is one of them with Regency Beauty Pageant, the number 43, going round this second sector, which is going to be, I think, a bit more peaceful than the first sector in the first laps, but also conflictive sector for all of the drivers.
And we are seeing now the Camel Straight, which comes after the Eau Rouge Rayon complex, and this is also a hotspot action, a hotspot for action. So where you can see drivers actually attempting 3 wide maneuvers, even 4 wide, if the racetrack allows it. Maybe with the GT3 cars, 3 wide will just do it. There's also some very high interesting situations about this racetrack, particularly the fact that when we have the fuel race, the 30-minute event, I don't expect a lot of variation from the drivers getting into the pit lanes because of the raw length of Spa-Francorchamps. It's a 7-kilometer racetrack where you have to be very precise with the way you use your fuel and the way you get your consumption. And if you overstep your mark by 1 lap, you can easily run out of fuel. And if you run out of fuel on the last lap here at Spa-Francorchamps, it's a long way from home. So these drivers are going to be especially careful there. Obviously, on the 50-minute races, they are going to be full throttle, full maximum speed.
None of them want to get towed. That's for sure. Guaranteed. They don't want to end up there. They don't want to wish that they stopped sooner. So let's see what they do with that. And also another question in those straights, how they're going to manage the drafts and how much is going to benefit them if they do improve the fuel consumption going behind a car or not, which also can become a little bit of a question in a 30-minute run with a limited tank.
Excuse me, could you repeat again?
No worries, Adrian. I was saying that it's going to be interesting to see how they do in the last 30-minute round with the drafts and the fuel consumption. It's going to be interesting if they get to hold a liter or maybe half a liter, or if that's going to be enough. Maybe they need to hold even more. I'm sure they're doing about 4 liters a lap, or at least 4 liters a lap. And we are watching right now this very fast turn of Radillon, the number 35, Jose Miguel Lorenzo, with the Emmanuel's Public School of India and the Care Foundation, the number 35. We also saw him in the practice session. And I think he was with Diego Bande, one of the drivers that was able to survive the storm of drivers in the top of Radillon, because that's what happened in the practice session actually, and was a bit violent to see the cars go like that. And we must remind all of our viewers that this is a simulator. This is not real, so you don't have to worry about the drivers if they do crash or if they don't, but because they are not going to really injure themselves in any way, but I'm sure their egos are going to be a bit blasted after a big bad crash in this very fast track of Spa.
We're seeing some drivers already getting toes from other ones, trying to get the lines, the better situation on the racetrack. Remember that the toe effect is not as big in these cars and on this racetrack, especially when you go after the Rayon complex. But it is still powerful enough to give you a couple tenths and improve your lap time consistently, especially if you're already at the limit of what the car can bring or what you can get out of the car. We're seeing especially now Gerard Sardeni in the 31 car getting that tow from 2 cars, which is double and slightly more powerful even if it's from just 1 car, because the effect of the air it just increases.
And especially with the setup that the drivers are using, we know that it's a sprint race setup and it holds a lot of downforce, and that straight, I think they can find a lot of speed drafting anyone who's in front. All of our drivers, I must remind our viewers, carry the same setup in their cars and they cannot modify them. They have to show their skill as the car is. Sergio Real with Galindo's Garden, the number 32. Taking on the last part of the second sector, going through 15 and 16. And I'm sure here we are going to see people trying to hold off their opponents, as well as trying to hold into the backs of those BMWs as close as possible to make it possible to make that overtake, which I see it complicated. I see it's something that is going to be tough for the drivers to handle in some occasions, especially in this chicane here.
Yeah, a lot, and we've seen a lot of drivers actually overstepping their marks on that bus stop chicane and ramming onto other drivers, which is kind of an unfortunate situation. Sometimes it leads to heated arguments after the race, but
to say the least.
Yeah, and that's being polite in some cases, but. There's a fine line you have to travel between making a risk to make an overtake complete into that chicane and actually make the pass, and this is a fine line you have to balance throughout the course of the lap.
It's going to be really, really interesting today. I'm sure that well, if I have to bet, I'll bet that we're going to have some action in that matter, or in that case. Some of the drivers are expected to try their best, especially in the last round, the GHA jackpot, in which we will give away those $10,000 if you get the 6 numbers right. So let's see how it goes for the viewers in that GHA jackpot. Make yourself sure to check all the information in allgratefulhearts.org, and as well as donate in the webpage for all the causes ongoing with Grateful Hearts. Make yourself sure to check them out. Already a few, or I can say a big pack of drivers going around the track. We can see a lot of dots in there, and already interesting times.
And remember that when we have 50-minute time, we will have the first qualifying session, which will decide the grid for the very first race, 50-minute race. That will be also the format for the second race. And then we will do it all over again, finally, for the 30-minute race, which will complete the the results here, and we'll also set the stage for the DHA jackpot, as you said earlier. And remember that the top 4 drivers will have their numbers onto the jackpot, and the other 2 numbers will be chosen randomly at the end of the broadcast. So stay tuned, because competitively this is going to be very, very interesting, and you have to be very aware of what is going on the race car.
Correct. And it's really can get to be difficult sometimes, because we know the last round, it's the one where the drivers on the top 4 get to go in a more aggressive stance amongst their opponents, and sometimes it has happened. We had to revise everything in the replay and take a little bit of care of what's happening between the drivers. They don't want to lose their prizes if they do, and if they do get in trouble, of course, and we don't want to see too much of that. But I think, and I will insist, that today it's going to be a day for a bit of bump and grinding between them, and I don't know if it's going to be how hard are the mishaps, as we call them, are going to be, but it's going to be interesting for sure.
We're seeing also another interesting section. This is just before the last stop chicane, the Blanchimont corner, that left-hand corner, excuse me, that you see at the top of the track map, where a lot of drivers are just navigating right now. That's the left-hand corner we see, and that's a corner where you can take it flat out in qualifying, not so much during the race. Well, you can try by pushing a little track limits a little bit, but iRacing is not too kind on drivers that overstep their mark way too many times. So then again, another fine line you have to travel throughout the course of the event.
That's correct, and they really have to be careful in the way they put the lap, because if they go off track, it's not going to let them put the time at the end of the lap. It's going to be cancelled. That lap, it's not going to count. And we are watching right now Luis Santos with Native Health Matters and the number 27 on his car, going round the first sector and getting into the second already. And we are watching a very fast lap already from Jesus Sicilia. It seems that he's coming back for a little bit of a vendetta after what happened in Silverstone. I think it's more of a personal matter, nothing against any of the drivers, but he's trying to put a time that already makes a statement. 16:07 already on the clock for Jesus Sicilia in the practice session. We already have 11 minutes to get to the end of the session, and we'll get into the first qualifying session of the day for the first race. Jesus Sicilia with 16:07, and Jonathan Alvarez with quite a big gap, 6/10 and a bit more of a second between himself and Jesus Sicilia in this moment.
There's also another interesting development. You have Alberto Toribio in 4th place right now. Very competitive lap time, especially from with the drivers that he has around him. There's some other favorites that has not set yet. Very, very competitive lap times, we have to say. David Perez, for example, is just 13th. That's very low for him, but this is practice. You have to find your grip. And we're going to see a very exciting battle for pole position. I'm very sure about that in the qualifying session, which will, I think it's not going to be as relevant as in other races, but then again, you want to start first because that's the best way to avoid any possible carnage going on Eau Rouge, going on Les Sources, or any other of the danger zones that we have around Spa.
Correct. And we're going to do a little bit of a switch to Spanish, if you ladies and gentlemen don't mind, to also inform our Spanish viewers. Y muchas gracias a todos los que nos estéis siguiendo también en español y en inglés y en todo lo que estemos haciendo. Y en el futuro pues veréis pues más idiomas seguramente, y tendréis la oportunidad de poder escucharlo en vuestro idioma. A ver si vamos expandiendo eso cada vez más y tendremos un ejército de comentaristas, si Dios quiere, el día de mañana. Y lo que estamos viendo con Alberto Toribio García, que me estaba recordando aquí entre unas cosas y otras, que antes de que se me vaya la cabeza, que ayer en la práctica Alberto Toribio, que lo estamos viendo ahí con Red Rock Chocolate Factory, el número 3, tuvo buena fortuna y además que lo jugó bastante bien. Y uno de los factores en la ecuación era el mismo que estamos viendo ahora mismo, Marcos Calvo, que estaba en la situación ayer con Healthy Nails RX. Y ahí se está moviendo.
Creo que esta sesión no cuenta para nada, porque han buscado ahí el 3 wide, quizá un poco pronto,
sí,
amigos.
Un poco a lo loco, la verdad. Un poco a lo loco. Sobre todo la gente que se ha quedado ahora fuera de la curva. Marcos Calvo, que se aprendió bien la lección ayer, que paga más estar en los interiores en algunas de estas curvas en las que estamos viendo algunos pilotos tener que tomar medidas. Así que a ver cómo les va la situación y cómo le va la carrera cuando después de la primera clasificatoria, que será después de estos 8 minutos. Estamos viendo la práctica. Y le tengo que recordar a todos nuestros espectadores que podéis visitar allgratefulhearts.org para conseguir toda la información de todo lo que se está haciendo, así como para donar también. Darle las gracias a Heart to Heart International, que es nuestro sponsor para esta semana. Y recordaros e insistir en que visitéis la página y podréis comprobar toda la información de las rifas, de las donaciones, del GHA Jackpot, y sabréis que podréis participar en ese GHA Jackpot si conseguís token a través de la rifa. Así que hay un mecanismo ahí que tenéis que estudiar un poquito. Y luego, si lo conseguís, pues podéis en la rifa, podéis conseguir desde premios pequeñitos hasta premios muy grandes, como un Nissan Sentra del 2021, que es el premio más grande que hay en la mesa en esa rifa. Y también recordaros que podéis participar en el GHA Jackpot, que será la última ronda de carreras del día de hoy, que en el que creo yo que vamos a tener un poquito de chispita, Adri. Yo creo que hoy hay chispas, tío.
Va a haber chispas, va a haber situaciones. Podríamos definir situaciones de muchas formas y de muchos rangos, pero con suerte serán situaciones competitivas, de las típicas que solo dejan, digamos, orgullitos rotos al final del día, y no de las que dejan chapa rota al final del día, que creo que al final es lo importante. Pero sabemos que Spa es un circuito donde eso también es bastante posible, especialmente en primeras vueltas, en duelos por posición, donde alguien cree que tiene el interior pero en realidad no, y no va centrado en la curva. Ocurren muchas de estas circunstancias a veces, y yo creo que al final los pilotos que sean más inteligentes, que sean más precisos a la hora de llevar su pilotaje de forma consistente en la pista, son los que van a tener más éxito.
Totalmente. Y va a ser complicada la tarea, porque creo que que se están animando a ir muy compacto, y también es lo que se estaba vaticinando un poco. Creo que eso, que con el setup que llevaban, que ya me estaba avisando Jesús en su momento, diciendo todo el mundo va a estar recuperando 8 décimas en la recta, así que va a ser interesante. Y yo, que me quedé como preguntándome, pues digo, pues no es precisamente un problema eso, ¿no? Porque nos ofrece mucha acción, así que creo que va a ser interesante ver cómo manejan esa situación. Por ejemplo, estábamos viendo ahí a Xavier Herrán con el vehículo de innato, el número 13. Ahora mismo lo acabamos de ver ahí esquivar una bala en ese vehículo de Patriot Capital Partners que estaba adelantándolo. Empujón que se va a llevar a alguien como se quede muy parado en esa curva. Creo que va a ser lo que va a pasar. A ver, el número 13 ahora mismo en persecución, y aunque parece que los números de la práctica no son de alta relevancia, son importantes porque en cierto modo les permite salir un poquito más adelantado en el posicionamiento del pit lane, porque sí que les cambia ese posicionamiento, ¿no? Parece, o no lo tengo yo 100% confirmado, porque a veces como que hay unos barajados y unas cosas raras que no acabo de entender.
Sí, depende del circuito, no en todos el orden de los libres determina el orden exacto de salida de los pits. Hay veces en las que algunas posiciones se deciden de forma aleatoria o según se ha terminado vueltas, por ejemplo. No existe un método consistente del que ellos se puedan fiar. Así que simplemente por si acaso, para agotar las opciones en aquellos circuitos donde sí se organiza por velocidad de parrilla, saben hacer los tiempos ya y eso se quitan de encima. Si luego pues tienes al piloto que ha quedado el 23 por delante, pues digamos que es un mal menor en cierto sentido.
Y así es como estamos viendo ahora mismo a todos estos pilotos tratar de conseguir una posición mejor en la parrilla, porque aunque no tenemos todavía averiguado del todo el misterio de los posicionamientos en el pit lane para la clasificatoria después de las prácticas, pero sí tenemos claro que un tiempo fuerte es un tiempo fuerte, y Jesús Sicilia ahora mismo tiene garantizado poder hacer un tiempo rápido en la clasificatoria, porque con ese margen no creo que sea sumamente complicado para él quedar arriba. La verdad es que lo vimos en Silverstone con unos poquitos de problemas, y no voy a decir tampoco que sea algo como para celebrar, ¿no? Pero por lo menos nos enseña que es mortal, ¿sabes? Que no, porque es que ya iba de perfect, ¿no? Y estaba haciéndose el campeonato.
Y estamos viendo a Adrián Baez ahora mismo en los pits, otro de los hombres que podría ser de los importantes en la contienda del día de hoy, a nivel de velocidad, a nivel de sensaciones y a nivel de competitividad. No ha hecho un gran registro en libres de momento, solo es 16º, pero seguro que tiene más guardado bajo la manga.
Adrián con Be Social, el número 16, yendo a través de Kemmel en la persecución con Marcos Calvo. Se están soltando un poco la melena, se puede decir, en la práctica. Luego en la clasificatoria ya veremos qué es lo que pasa, y vamos a tratar de estar conmutando y haciendo resúmenes en castellano también, y tratar de mantenerlos actualizados también con la información en español. Así que espero que estéis con nosotros. Uno de los pilotos más rápidos en la competición, one of the fastest drivers in the competition, David Perez, the number 19 with Alca Products, the winner of the last round in Silverstone. And as we approach the end of the practice session, we are going to take a quick little break, and we will be back